planning video just to show you some ideas that you could use if you get some panels, or if you get a partially finished quilt and you want to finish it out. I just wanted to give you some tips about where to start, how you can approach this process. And my method is not, it's a simple method, and it uses things that you might normally have at the house. So like, I'm just using paper and color pencils to come up with my design. There are a few other materials that you might need, but I think that if you have an idea in your head, if you can get it written down so that you can see it, you'll have a better chance of having success, and you won't hopefully give up so easily on that project. So I've made a couple of quilts this way. I'll go ahead and show them to you. Both of these that I'm going to show are examples of quilt tops that were started by my grandmother, and I finished them out. One of them is the grandma's baby quilt, where she had made the whole quilt top, and I just added a simple border and a backing to it. I'll insert pictures of that here. And for this one, all I did was search my stash for a color that I liked of fabric, and I was able to add it to the quilt and add a binding, and then I pieced a backing for that quilt. The other one is the polyester quilt, where there were smaller panels, and I stitched kind of like a color block scheme around it. And that quilt is actually reversible. I'll put pictures of both sides of that quilt here. If you follow my channel, you've already seen the poly and ester quilt more recently. So I'm going to do that today with a panel that I made myself, the baby Bargello that I did. I think I did it back in, I did it in 2018. This was my practice quilt for my son's graduation quilt. So I want to show you my approach to get started with this, and you can see how we get from idea in my brain to idea on paper. So let's get started. This is the panel that I'm going to be starting to plan for today. I made it with a motor scrap bag that I got from, I think I ordered it online, and I divided the pieces, or divided the strips into groups, and I made 3 Bargello panels. So here's the first one, and the second one, and the third one. And the size is probably about baby quilt size, but then it's too long. So I want to finish it out and make it a full quilt. Now, to prepare for this process, I'm actually gathered a few materials, and we'll go over them together. The first thing that I have is my graph paper here, and this is going to be where I jot down all my ideas and do all the coloring. And I've previously done other quilts. This is the polyester quilt. This is the Heartbeat Bargello quilt. And so I'm just using this as a kind of a scrapbook of some of my quilting ideas. In addition, I have just a regular ink pen. I have a ruler. I have a tape measure. And I have some colored pencils. So using these materials, I should be able to come up with an idea that I can live with, and I can come up with I can decide the measurements of the fabrics that I'm going to need, so that all I have to do is, if I need to go to the quilt shop, just take this panel, and I'll already have my measurements ready to go, so I can grab some fabric for this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is measure the quilt, and I'm going to measure it lengthwise and width, so that I can transfer that to my my graph paper. So I'll do that off camera, and then I'll meet you back here, and you can see the process on. I'm going to let you look over my shoulder for the rest of the process. Hopefully it won't take too long for the video. So I've measured this panel, and it is 63 inches by 66 inches by 33 inches. So I already have that measured. The idea that I had in my brain, excuse me, was to have the panel in the center, and then to add borders around it like this until it is the size that I want it to be. So I had that's what I had in my, at first, is my idea, but each of these borders would be a different size, and of course the different colors and fabrics. But I just thought about this since it measured 66 by 33, because I want it to be about a twin size quilt. So since I would like for it to be about 68 by 86. That's about the size of a twin. So maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller. And so once I saw that this is 66 by 33, now my idea has changed. So now instead of doing this kind of idea, I actually want to turn the panel so that it's horizontal instead of vertical. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to mark that out on this sheet. And I have to decide what measurement I want to have each square to be. And I think I'm going to do, maybe have each square be 3 inches. And then I'm going to mark out, it's going to take up about the center of this sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the center panel, and then I'll show you the next step. So I have my center panel here, and if my goal is going to be 86 inches tall, then I need to go ahead and mark out the 86 inches. I decided to make the each square, it's going to be 2 inches. So I need to write that over here. 1 square equals 2 inches. And so now I just need to mark, because this is going to be my center. So I just need to mark the top and bottom of the quilt so I can see how I want to arrange things. So this is 16, and then to get to 86, I have to have 43 total. So this is 16, actually this is 17. Okay, so 43 minus 17 is 26. So I need to have 13 on either side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is going to get me all the way to the bottom. So I'll just mark that. And then at the top, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I didn't look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my ruler and mark out my quilt area. Just checking to make sure I'm recording. I am. Good. I'm not sure how well you can see this on camera. I'm hoping that you can see it okay. And so I'm just marking this off with my ruler. And so this is going to give me the entire area of my quilt. I'll just let that be all the way down to the bottom. And I'm just marking the sides. Okay. So according to this, instead of 68 by 86, it's going to be about 66 by 86. And I think I can live with that. So I'm just writing that up at the top, 66 by 86. This middle part is my center panel. So I know whatever I need to do, it's not going to be in this section. So I'm going to go ahead and black that out, sort of. Okay, so now all I need to do is decide, first I'm going to decide my colors, and then I'm going to see how I want to have everything arranged here. There are lots of options, but I think what I want to do is have the borders go from lightest to darkest on either side. And then if I choose to add a border all the way around, it will be of that darkest fabric. So at this point, it's time to choose some colors. I'm going to get my color pencils, and I'm going to choose my colors from the piece that I have. Let me zoom out for a minute so you can see what we're working with. All right, so I know that I want to use, I think I want to use each one of these major colors as something that's in the quilt, and these sort of go from lightest to darkest and then back the other way. So all I have to do is stay in the same order here, and I think it's going to work. So I need the white, and I'm just writing them. I'm just going to write them here on my sheet. White. I need a yellow. Let's see. That still counts as like an off-white or a cream. Actually, so I'm going to put off-white. Then we have light brown. Light brown. And then we have actually no, that counts as another off-white. So, and then we have green. We have, there's like a blue here, like a teal. And then there's the light brown. And then like a salmon pink color. And burgundy. All right, and so I've listed them here so that when I go to my colored pencils, I know what I'm going to go ahead and pull. I'm pretty sure that this is the order that I'm going to go with, so I'm not going to take the time to do a lot of color rearranging, but I am going to color it here so I can see, just double check and make sure I like it before I transfer it over to my actual panel. So now I'm just going to make sure that I like the color arrangement. First, there's a couple of colors that I need to double check, like these blues. I have to decide which one I like the best. I think I like a bubbly blue the best. And it doesn't really matter because when I go to the fabric store, I'm going to take my panel so I can match the colors exactly. So it doesn't matter if these aren't a perfect match. So I'm going to put my colors in this order, just right along here, and just see how I like it. And then I'll decide if I need to make some changes to it. Kind of sharpen up this colored pencil first, if it'll sharpen. And this is, for me, this is a really fun process. It's not stressful. It's kind of like that coloring therapy that people are into these days. So okay, so now I have to decide, do I like these colors in this order? I'm not really sure. So I'll try a different order. I'm just going to grab at random and see which one comes first. Okay, so again, I'm not really sure how I like these colors in order. So I have some thinking to do about what order I want to do. So I'm going to try a couple of other options off camera, and then I'll show you what I decide. So I've had a bit of a stroke of inspiration, and my idea has now completely changed. So what I'm going to do is show you a couple of ideas that you can take with these center panels, and then I'm going to show you what my plan is, but I can't show you yet because it's not written down on paper, but I'll describe it to you. So I'm going to divide the top of this into 3 sections. These are all just examples of ways that you could finish out a panel like this. One example is over here where you just do the borders that go out. The second example, this was my second idea, and that was just to do like some horizontal stripes that would frame out this pattern, and using different sizes of strips so that you can get a wide variety. Another idea is, this is what I did with the poly and ester quilt. You could just do a little bit of color blocking. So something like this, so that you could try some different looks and you could play with a lot of different fabrics here. Another idea, since my center panel is a Bargello, is to create another series of Bargellos that you could use and just kind of stack them on top. Now, the main way that you can choose, one thing that I like to do to choose inspiration is to take an idea from the center panel. Just like here where you can make another Bargello. And that's actually what I'm going to do. I found, thanks to my trusty book, I actually found, I don't know if you can see this, but these are the measurements from when I made the first Bargello. And so I have all the strip widths here, and then I have the seams that I clipped in between. And so when I went back and looked at this, I saw that I already have a solid foundation for where I can go to finish out this quilt. And the only thing that I'll need to figure out now is how much I'll need of each individual fabric. So my plan is going to be to take the measurements from the original, and I'm just going to extend it out so that there's just one long piece in whatever this color is, and I'll already have the measurements for those. So for example, if we look here at the panel, let me see how much of that you can see right now. Okay, so here, I'm not sure of what these strip widths are or what they were originally, but I'm just going to kind of talk you through it. So this is a 33-inch width, and I'm going to extend that width, but instead of using a lot of different fabrics, for example, for this strip, this was probably a 1-inch strip, I'm just going to extend that color all the way down the width of the quilt. And so what I'm thinking is that it'll create like a I don't know, like a drip kind of effect that goes out both ways. And now the only thing I need to do is figure out exactly how much of each of these strips I'm going to need. And when I figure out the amount, I'm actually going to do like figure it out by color. So how much off-white, how much yellow, etc. So that when it's time to go to the fabric store, I can choose from a lot of different fabrics. And so, for example, if I need a half a yard, I might get a fat quarter, or like 2 fat quarters. Or I might get, if I need 3/4 of a yard, 3 fat quarters, or a half a yard and a fat quarter, something like that, so that I have a variety of each color. So let's see if I can figure out how we're going to do that. Now, for each of these patterns, for each of the fabrics, I should say, I have widths here, but I'm not sure about the colors. So I'm just going to go through each, I guess I just have to go through each one of these and then decide what color it is and how much. I'm really not sure how that's going to work out, but I'm going to take some time and do that off camera right now, and then I'll show you where I stand. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way to extend these strips, but I can't think of an easier way. So I just made a chart here, and I'm using my my previous graph, which is back here, to help me with the sizes of each of these things. And I'm just kind of marking my what color it is and what width it is, because I'm going to use this to figure out how many, number one, how many strips I need of each color, and then the widths of them, so I can figure out how much fabric I'm going to have to buy. or search my stash for. So I've done the first panel, the first Bargello panel that I put together, and now I'm on the second. And I have actually the top piece and the bottom piece, and hopefully this will help me when it's time to put these things together. So I'm starting, I know this was a 2.5 inch cut, and so at the bottom it's going to be yellow, and so I'm just marking under 2.5 yellow at the bottom, that I know I'm going to need that. And then up at the top it's a white, and so I'm marking that for that 2.5. The second one these are two 2-inch strips, so at the bottom I know I need a white and a yellow, white, yellow, and then at the top I need a yellow and a green, and so I'm just marking that yellow, green. And I'm going to do this for the entire panel and then for the third panel to figure out how much fabric I'm going to need. Hopefully I will not need that much fabric, and I can search my stash. That's going to be my first place to go, would be my stash, to see exactly how much I'm going to need. But I will I need to get this done, and then I'll start figuring out how many pieces I need. I'm going to try and hold the camera for this next little bit so you can see how I get the amounts of fabric that I'm going to need. So I'm going to assume that these are full strips of fabric, but I only need like 27 inches for the top strips and 24 inches for the bottom strips. So, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and get the, just use the width of fabric as the measurement. And so all I'm doing is I'm just going to multiply the measurement by the number of strips to get the number of inches that I'm going to need for each one. And then I'll divide that by 36 to see how many yards, or 36 by that, whatever, to see how many yards I need of each color. So for example, for the 2.5-inch strips, for the white, I need 4 strips, and that's 10 inches. And then for the yellow, 2 strips, 5 inches, 5 inches, and so on. And then what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to add up all of these measurements by inches. And then once I divide that by 36, I'll see what portion of a yard of fabric I'm going to need. It doesn't look like I'm going to need that much fabric based on the small number of strips, but I'm going to do the math and see, and I'll show you the totals when I'm done. I've taken all of this information on this page with all of the amounts, or all of the widths of the strips that I need, and I've compiled it right here. Let's see if you can see that. Can you see it? Nope. Trying to zoom it. There we go. Sort of. So you can see exactly how much of each color I need. Too far. And so my next step is going to be, with this information and my panel, I could head to the fabric store and choose fabrics. I am going to start with searching my stash though, and seeing what I already have that kind of fits this criteria. I hope that you were able to grasp some of the concepts of this process to add a border to the panel of a quilt. The only thing about it is that it is always changing. Every time it's a little different. I thought that I was just going to be kind of coloring on camera, but that wasn't the case this time. So I'm excited about the next step of actually putting the finishing touches on this quilt top so that it'll be large enough to hopefully cuddle under on the couch. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about our processes. And if you have any tips for creating quilts that you want to leave for other people, leave those in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye!